Most men go through life without ever asking one powerful question that can completely change how a woman sees them. It sounds simple, yet it stays in her mind long after the conversation ends. Today, we're going to explore that question together. More importantly, we'll understand why it works so deeply on a psychological level and how you can ask it naturally without sounding rehearsed or artificial. Let me ask you something before we go deeper. How many conversations have you had that felt forgettable, polite, maybe even smooth, but nothing really stayed? And now think about the opposite. Have you ever had a conversation that lingered in your mind for hours, maybe even days? What made it different? I want you to be honest with yourself here. And if you've ever experienced a moment like that, drop a comment saying real connection, because that's exactly what we're about to unlock together. Most conversations between men and women never reach that level. They stay safe, predictable, surface level. And the truth is, most people don't even realize why. They think attraction is built through impressing, entertaining, or saying the right things. But something much deeper is happening beneath the surface. I'm Emily Carter, and welcome to The Female Game. There is a moment in conversation that changes everything. It's subtle, almost invisible, but once you understand it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Most men believe they need to stand out by talking more, by sharing achievements, success, experiences. And yes, confidence matters, ambition matters. But when a conversation becomes one-sided, something quietly disappears: connection. Let me paint a picture for you. A man sits across from a woman telling story after story about his life, his work, his goals, his experiences. On paper, everything sounds impressive. But emotionally, something feels flat. She listens, but she doesn't feel involved. She nods, but she doesn't feel connected. And slowly, without saying it, her attention drifts. Now compare that to a different moment. Another man is sitting in the same position. He's calm, present, not trying to prove anything. And instead of filling the silence with his own stories, he pauses and asks something thoughtful, something real. Suddenly, her energy changes. She leans in. She thinks, she feels, and the conversation becomes alive. This is where most men miss the point completely. Attraction is not built on how much you say. It's built on how deeply someone feels in your presence. And one of the fastest ways to create that feeling is genuine curiosity. Not surface-level curiosity, not scripted questions, real curiosity. Because when a woman feels that you're genuinely interested in her, not just talking at her, something shifts emotionally. She feels seen, and that feeling is powerful. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most men stay in safe questions. What do you do? Where are you from? What did you study? And these questions are fine, but they don't create emotion. They don't create memory. They don't create connection. They keep the conversation neutral. But the moment you ask something that touches her inner world, everything changes. She starts reflecting instead of just responding. She starts feeling instead of just answering. She starts revealing parts of herself that most people never see. And that's where connection begins. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. When was the last time someone asked you something that made you stop and think? Not respond automatically, but actually feel something? That's the kind of impact we're talking about here. And here's why most men avoid this. They're afraid. Afraid of sounding too serious, too invested, too different. But in reality, that difference is exactly what makes you stand out. Because depth is rare. Emotional awareness is rare. And when you show it naturally, it doesn't push people away. It pulls them closer. Now, let's go deeper into the psychology behind this. Attraction doesn't grow in pressure. It grows in emotional safety. And emotional safety is created when a woman feels she can express herself without being judged, interrupted, or redirected. It's a space where she can be real. And your role in that space is not to impress. It's to understand. Let me give you a simple shift that changes everything. Instead of listening to respond, start listening to feel. Listen to her tone, her energy, her pauses. And when she shares something, don't rush to the next topic. Stay there, expand it. For example, instead of moving on, you can say, what made that moment special for you? Tell me more about that. Do you see the difference? You're not controlling the conversation, you're deepening it. And when you do this consistently, she begins to relax. Her guard lowers. She feels emotionally safe. And from that safety, connection starts to grow naturally. Now, here's another layer most people don't understand. There's a difference between need and desire. When a man seeks validation, approval, attention, it creates pressure. And pressure kills attraction. But when a man is calm, grounded, present, not trying to force anything, something very different happens. He becomes intriguing because he's not chasing the moment, he's experiencing it. And that creates emotional space for her to move closer. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. Now, we come back to the core of everything we've been building toward. There is one question, simple yet incredibly powerful. A question that shifts everything emotionally. But before I reveal it, you need to understand this one thing clearly. It's not the question itself that creates attraction. It's the intention behind it. Because the same words spoken without presence feel empty, but spoken with genuine curiosity feel magnetic. And when you combine the right question with the right emotional energy, that's when the moment becomes unforgettable. Truth is, most men will hear this question and still not use it correctly because they'll treat it like a technique instead of a doorway into real connection. So, in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how this question works, why it triggers emotional engagement so deeply, and how to use it in a way that feels natural, not forced. Now, let's return to the question that changes everything. What is something that truly excites you about life right now? Simple but powerful. And here's why. This question does something most conversations never do. It shifts her from thinking to feeling. When you ask about excitement, you're not asking for information. You're inviting emotion. You're inviting her to step into a moment where she feels alive. And that changes her entire state. Let me explain this on a psychological level. The human mind is wired to remember emotional peaks, not neutral moments, not routine exchanges, but moments where we feel something deeply. So when you ask this question, you're activating something inside her. She starts searching her mind for something meaningful, something real. And when she finds it, her energy changes. Her voice becomes more expressive. Her body language opens up. Her eyes light up. And in that moment, you are no longer just another person she's talking to. You become part of that emotional experience. That's why she remembers you. Not because you impressed her, but because you made her feel something. Now, here's where most men go wrong. They ask the question, but they don't hold the space for the answer. They interrupt. They shift focus back to themselves. They treat it like a quick exchange. And in doing so, they break the moment. Because the power is not just in asking, it's in receiving. When she answers, slow down. Listen fully. Let her speak without rushing and then go deeper. If she says something like, I'm excited about starting a new project, don't just say, that's nice. Ask, what about it excites you the most? Now, you've taken the conversation one level deeper. Now, she's not just sharing, she's exploring. And the more she explores, the more emotionally engaged she becomes. This is how connection builds naturally, layer by layer, moment by moment. Now, let me give you a real life scenario. A man once shared that he used this exact question on a simple coffee date. Nothing fancy, no pressure. No, just a normal conversation. When he asked it, she paused, smiled slightly, and then started talking about something she hadn't shared with anyone in a long time, her passion for art. She spoke differently, more freely, more emotionally. And at the end of the conversation, she said something that stayed with him. I don't know why, but I feel really comfortable talking to you. That's the result of emotional connection, not tricks, not lines, presence, curiosity, understanding. Now, let's make this practical for you. The next time you're in a conversation, don't rush to use the question immediately. Build the moment, let the conversation breathe. And when there's a natural pause, ask it calmly, like you actually care about the answer. Because if you rush it, it feels artificial. But if you place it naturally, it feels meaningful. And after she answers, stay present. Don't think about what to say next. Just listen and respond based on what you feel. That's what makes it real. Now, here's something important to remember. This question is not about creating attraction instantly. It's about creating connection. And connection is what leads to attraction that actually lasts. Because anyone can create surface level attraction, but very few people create emotional impact. And emotional impact is what people remember. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, don't try to impress. Don't try to perform. Just be present, be curious, and ask something real. Because sometimes one simple question is all it takes to change how someone feels about you. If this made you see conversations differently, take a moment to like the video and tell me in the comments what your answer would be to that question. And if you want to go deeper into understanding attraction, emotional intelligence, and human psychology, subscribe to The Female Game. Men där är ni ungefär. Because the more you understand people, the more meaningful your connections become. Now, let's go even deeper, because this is where most people stop. But this is not where mastery begins. It begins when you understand that asking the question is only the surface. What truly changes everything is what happens after. Because here's the truth most men never realize. A woman is not just listening to your question. She is feeling your intention. And intention cannot be faked. You can say the perfect words in the perfect tone at the perfect moment. But if your energy is seeking approval, she will feel it. If your mindset is, I hope this impresses her, she will feel that too. And the moment she feels that, something shifts. Not dramatically, but subtly. She stops leaning in emotionally and starts observing you instead. This is why presence is everything. When you ask, what is something that truly excites you about life right now? You are not trying to get a reaction. You are opening a door. And your job is not to push her through that door. It's to stand there calmly and let her walk through it if she chooses. That's emotional confidence. Now, let me challenge you with something deeper. Why do you want to ask this question? Is it to create connection or is it to get validation? Because those two intentions create completely different outcomes. If you're seeking validation, your energy will feel heavy. You'll overanalyze her response. You'll look for signs that she likes you. You'll lose your natural flow. But if your intention is pure curiosity, you'll stay relaxed. You'll enjoy the conversation. You'll allow things to unfold naturally. And that's when something powerful happens. She starts investing emotionally, not because you forced it, but because she feels safe to. Now, let's talk about something even more subtle, but extremely important. Timing. Because even the most powerful question asked at the wrong moment loses its impact. If the conversation is still cold, if there's no basic comfort yet, if she doesn't feel at ease, asking something deep can feel intrusive. So what do you do instead? You build the space first. Light conversation, simple moments, a little bit of shared energy, and then when there's a natural pause, when the moment feels calm, that's when you ask. Not abruptly, not dramatically, just naturally, like it belongs there. And when you do that, it doesn't feel like a deep question. It feels like a natural extension of the moment. That's the difference between technique and awareness. Now, here's something most people never think about. What if her answer is simple? What if she says something like, honestly, nothing much right now? Most men panic here. They think the moment failed, but it didn't. This is actually where real connection can begin. Because behind that answer, there's always something deeper. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe she feels stuck. Maybe she hasn't thought about it in a long time. So instead of changing the topic, stay with it. Gently. You can say, yeah, I get that. Life gets like that sometimes. What do you usually enjoy when things feel lighter? Now, you've kept the emotional door open without pressure, and that's what creates trust. Because you're not forcing positivity. You're accepting her reality, and when someone feels accepted, they open up more. Now, let's go even deeper into something powerful. People don't connect because of perfect conversations. They connect because of how safe they feel being imperfect. Think about that. The moments where someone doesn't judge you, doesn't interrupt you, doesn't try to fix you, those are the moments you remember. And that's exactly what you're creating here. a space, a feeling, an experience. Now imagine this over time. You consistently show up calm, present, curious, emotionally grounded. What do you think happens? You stop being just another guy. You become someone she associates with comfort, with depth, with emotional clarity. And that's rare because most people rush, most people perform. Most people never slow down enough to truly connect. But you will. Because now you understand something deeper. Connection is not created by doing more. It's created by being more present. Now, let me give you one final perspective shift. This question is not just something you ask others. It's something you should ask yourself. What truly excites you about life right now? Because if you don't have an answer, if you feel disconnected from your own excitement, that energy will show in your conversations. But when you are connected to your own life, your own passions, your own sense of direction, you don't need to try to be interesting. You naturally become interesting. And that's where everything changes. Because attraction is not about techniques. It's about who you are being in the moment. So as you move forward, remember this. Slow down, stay present, be genuinely curious, and create space for real conversations to happen. If you made it this far, I want you to comment one word: depth. Because that's what separates surface level interactions from meaningful connection. If this shifted your perspective, take a moment to like the video. It helps this reach people who actually need to hear it. And if you want to master emotional intelligence, attraction, and real human connection, subscribe to The Female Game. Because this is where you stopped guessing and start understanding.